Well, we are going to talk about Abigail, since that is the T for this week of the Women of the Bible. So we're going to dig into her story, and it is found in 1 Samuel chapter 25. I love the story of Abigail. It's such a beautiful story of this woman showing hospitality and in a way that diffused a very volatile situation. And she did so with such grace, but also knew what words to speak that would reach the heart of David. So let's read a bit of the story. In 1 Samuel 25, now Samuel had died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him, and then they buried him at his home in Ramah. Then David moved down into the desert of Moab. A certain man in Moab, who had property there at Carmel, was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was shearing in Carmel. His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband, a Calebite, was surly and mean in his dealings. Now, Calebite meaning that he came from the line of Caleb. And if you recall, Caleb also meant dog. And so this is not a very nice dog. This is a very mean dog. And as you will see as the story goes on. Also in Carmel, Saul had a monument to himself, and he had also laid claim to the sovereignty of this particular area by expelling all the Amalekites. So Nabal may have been a little bit, he would have shown some disregard to David because he would have had some loyalties or whatever to Saul for having done that. But we continue on. While David was in the desert, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. So he sent 10 young men and said to them, "Go up to Nabal at Carmel and greet him in my name. Say to him, long life to you, good health to you and your household, and good health to all that is yours." So he's blessing him. "Now I hear that it is sheep shearing time. When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore, be favorable toward my young men, since we come at a festive time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them." When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. Now, what David had done, and you're going to see in how the servants respond, is that he had actually guarded the sheep and the flock there with the servants. He had worked together with them, which was a really important thing during that time, that especially David's heart was a shepherd. He still was a shepherd at heart. That was his upbringing, and so he protected the flocks. But in that culture, if you did that, then there was an expectation also of repayment, that you would show kindness to those who also had protected your flocks. But Nabal answers in verse 10. Nabal answered David's servants, "Who is this David? Who is this son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men coming from who knows where?" David's men turned around and went back. When they arrived, they reported every word. David said to his men, "Put on your swords." So they put on their swords, and David put on his. About 400 men went up with David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. So he is upset because he has done everything and shown kindness to this man, and yet he is not going to show kindness in return. One of the servants told Nabal's wife, Abigail, "David sent messengers from the desert to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing." I can also go back into, I won't go into all the insults and why, but it was very insulting to David's people, to David, and also this is why it's escalating pretty quickly. "Night and day they were on the wall around us all the time. We were herding our sheep near them. Now think it over and see what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him." Abigail lost no time. She took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisin, and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on donkeys. Now, I took this whole list and I put it into the tea. That's why you have quinoa, honeybush, fig, raisins, oat straw, grapes, elderberries, rose, cinnamon, and vanilla in this one, because she brought figs and cakes and raisins in the grains and wine, so elderberries with the wine, and that's why that's all in the tea, and it makes a delicious tea, by the way. But also, this was a sign of hospitality. Abigail is not doing this out of just repayment for David's kindness and protection over their flocks. She's also, the amount that she's giving is going above and beyond. This is hospitality. This is a sign of hospitality. So she is giving honor as well as repayment and hospitality. Then she told her servants, "Go on ahead, I'll follow you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. As she came riding her donkey into a mountain ravine, there were David and his men descending toward her, and she met them. David had just said, "It's been useless, all my watching over this fellow's property in the desert, so that nothing of his was missing. He has paid me back evil for good. May God deal with David, be it ever so severely, if by morning I leave alive one male of all who belong to him." He is mad. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "My lord, let the blame be on me alone. Please let your servant speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. May my lord pay no attention to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name is Fool, and folly goes with him." Now, there's different meanings for the name Nabal. Probably his parents didn't just call him Fool, but it also had that connotation with it. So this is why she's saying that. She's focused on the negative connotation of that name. "But as for me, your servant, I did not see the men my master sent." Now, since the Lord has, if I had seen them, it would have been a different story. I did not see them. "Now, since the Lord has kept you, my master, from bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hands, as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, may your enemies and all who intend to harm my master be like Nabal." So what she is saying is, I know the stories. I know who you are, which Nabal was not recognizing. I know who you are. I know the stories that have come about. I have recognized and I honor you. "And let this gift which your servant has brought to my master be given to the men who follow you. Please forgive your servant's offense, for the Lord will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my master because he fights the Lord's battles." So now she's also calling out his destiny. She knows who he's going to be. "Let no wrongdoing be found in you as long as you live. Even though," okay, so now she's also saying, don't stoop to Nabal's level. Don't become like him. Don't become a fool. It will alter your course. You don't want to become like him. She's calling out his destiny. She's saving him from destruction. And she's also saying, don't stoop to his level and respond in the same violence and insulting way that he has responded to you. "Even though someone is pursuing you to take your life, the life of my master will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he will hurl away as from the pocket of a sling." She understands even his history. She knows that he was a shepherd. She's using this, and she's using the analogy also because they have sheep, and she recognized that heart that is in him. "When the Lord has done for my master every good thing he promised concerning him, and has appointed him leader over Israel," again, she's speaking forth his destiny, "my master will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed or having avenged himself." So you won't have you won't have a guilty conscience for this one event of anger that overtakes you. So don't let it overwhelm you, and then you make the wrong decision today. "And when the Lord has brought my master success, remember your servant." David said to Abigail, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me." So you have intervened. You have been able to speak to truly who I am and to help diffuse this situation. And if it wasn't for you, I would have made a really bad mistake. "May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet me, not one male belonging to Nabal would have been left alive by daybreak, and then he would have had a guilty conscience going into the throne." Then David accepted from her hand what she had brought him and said, "Go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request." When Abigail went to Nabal, he was in the house holding a banquet like that of a king. He was in high spirits and very drunk. So she told him nothing until daybreak. Then in the morning, when Nabal was sober, his wife told him all these things, and his heart failed him, and he became like stone. He had a heart attack. About 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Praise be the Lord, who has upheld my cause against Nabal for treating me with contempt." So the Lord took care of the situation. The scripture, the vengeance is of the Lord's. He took vengeance instead of David taking vengeance. And that would have been the wrong thing for David to have taken vengeance. "He has kept his servant from doing wrong and has brought Nabal's wrongdoing down on his own head because of the woman Abigail who stepped in and diffused this volatile situation and did not let David, who she knew was going to be the king of Israel, make the wrong decision and compromise his destiny in any sort of way. Then David sent word to Abigail asking her to become his wife. His servants went to Carmel and said to Abigail, David has sent us to take you to become his wife. She bowed down with her face to the ground and said, Here's your maidservant, ready to serve you and wash the feet of my master's servants. Abigail quickly got on a donkey and, attended by her 5 maids, went with David's messengers and became his wife. David had also married Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were both his wives. But Saul had given his daughter Michal. Remember, after Goliath's battle, Michal was given to David, and now Saul has taken Michal away from him because he's trying to cut off any connection to the royal throne. David's wife to Paltiel, son of Laish, who was from Galim. So that is the story of Abigail. It's an incredible story of this woman who took leadership in an area when she saw that things were escalating, things were getting really volatile, and she was able to deflect it with her words. She knew exactly. I was thinking of the phrase, the way to a man's heart is through his belly. Well, she brought a whole lot of food with her, and she was ready to bring some peace to the situation. But she knew how to speak to him. She used his analogies to be able to connect with him. She also understood who he was. She called that out from him. She didn't belittle him. She didn't act enraged. She didn't say, if you do this, you're going to be no better than Nabal. She did so in a very gentle, loving way that helped David to turn away from wrath and understand who he truly was, so that way he would not stoop to the level that Abigail was warning him of. And it's just, I love this story because of how she did that and how we can do that even as women, that sometimes in our home, we can bring peace, we can diffuse situations, or we can escalate them. And it's our choice. She could have gone in there blazing, and then it would have gone a whole different direction. It wouldn't have just been the males, it would have been all the females too. But she did so in such grace and beauty and authority even. She was saying, if I had known about this, it would have been, something else would have happened differently. You would have been taken care of, but I didn't know about it. So ignore the foolishness of this man and don't become like him. And she didn't let the bitterness and the character of her husband become her own. She didn't become like Nabal either, even though he was wealthy and she could have easily become just like him. She refused to have the same character. Instead, she had a lot of integrity, and she was a godly woman, and she knew how to intercede to bring peace and salvation to her household and to David, who would become the king of Israel.